Hi everyone, I'm David Aragona, and this is the TimeformUS Road to the Kentucky Derby series where we handicap the Kentucky Derby prep races, and there are 3 of those this week. I took a look at the Robert B. Lewis and the Holy Bull from Gulfstream and 2 other segments, but in this video we're going to take a look at the Grade 3 Withers from Aqueduct. It is the feature race at Aqueduct on Saturday, the 8th race on their card there. Going a mile and an eighth for the 3-year-olds, 1 circuit of that 9-furlong oval at Aqueduct, and it's going to be a real test of stamina for these horses, and given that many of these are trying the distance for the first time, I don't think it's a surprise to see that we're likely to have the number 5 Shotsky be the favorite here as we take a look at the entire field for this race. I installed him at 2-1 in the morning line, but I don't think he's going to be any kind of significant favorite because there are many other horses to consider, plenty of up-and-comers who are going to also attract some support in this race. We'll get to them a little bit later, but let's begin by taking a look at the TimeformUS pace projector, because one thing about this race that I think is undeniable is that there is plenty of speed signed on, and you see the number 2 Monday Morning QB is likely to go out towards the front. He's coming out of sprint races, drawn towards the inside. That would be no shock. Shotsky, though, he was the gate-to-wire winner of the Remsen last time, so he is also likely to be forwardly placed in this race, and plenty of others have shown early initiative in the races, like the number 1 Mr. Short and Simple, a long shot in here, the number 4 New Commission, who's also coming out of sprints, and even the number 7 Vanzi, who won the display stakes in gate-to-wire fashion at Woodbine last time. So a lot of horses in this race have the same running style, so there could be plenty of jockeying for position heading into the first turn, and we'll see how that affects the morning line favorite, the number 5 Shotsky. Taking a look at his past performances in the TimeformUS PPs, you see that he's got that highest last out, or one of the highest last out TimeformUS speed figures in the race when he earned that 111 in the Remsen. And let's take a look at the replay of the Remsen as he enters the stretch here on the lead. He got to set a pretty moderate pace this day. The half wet in 50, the 6 furlongs in 1:15. The track was pretty deep and slow on Cigar Mile Day, but in addition to that, it was also favoring speed runners. We didn't see too many horses closing from the back of the pack throughout the dirt races on the Cigar Mile card. So Shotsky was really aided by his tactical speed in this race, and the fact that there really was just no other speed in the Remsen. He took a clear lead into deep stretch. The horse that's closing after him in the late stages, Aja Weed, I think is pretty good. He was getting to Shotsky late in this race, and Shotsky was able to just hold on. For a horse that's already successfully gone the mile and eighth distance, it might sound counterintuitive to say that I'm a little bit concerned about the distance with him, but I say that because he's likely to face a completely different scenario in the Withers. Given that the pace projector is predicting a fast pace, he could have to rate this time. He could face a much more contested pace if his jockey is intent on getting the lead here. So I'm just a little bit concerned that Shotsky might not get the mile and eighth distance under a different set of circumstances in the Withers. I'm not against him. I'm definitely using him prominently in this race. I just think that some others might offer some better value. Another horse that's coming off a stakes victory is the number 2 Monday Morning QB, who is the other horse that's predicted to be on the lead of the Shotsky in the pace projector, and we'll take a look at his victory last time in the Heft Stakes at Laurel Park. He was beating fellow rival New Commission this day, and New Commission's back in this race. Both of these horses are stretching out for the first time. Now, Monday Morning QB probably has the better pedigree to stretch out, not so much on the dam side, because his dam was really more of a sprinting type, and there was a little bit of route in the second generation, but he's by a turf horse, Imagining, who really wanted to run all day, so his pedigree kind of goes both ways, stamina on the top, speed on the bottom. We'll see if Monday Morning QB is a horse that wants to stretch out in distance. I didn't love the way he finished off his sprint races. I mean, he's a grinding type who is able to just run at one pace to the wire, but he stays on his left lead in a lot of the races I've seen, doesn't switch over to that right lead. That typically doesn't translate well to horses stretching out in distance. Proper lead changes help a horse going 2 turns. Also, drawing the inside, I think Jorge Vargas' hand is really going to be forced to send this horse, and if others are also aggressively ridden from the outside, he could find himself setting the pace through pretty fast early fractions. Just think there are some things to be a little bit cautious with about Monday Morning QB, but you can't deny he's got talent because he ran that 1:15 TimeformUS speed figure last time in the Heft. That number seems to check out, and it's the highest last out speed figure in the field. So if he takes any kind of step backwards, maybe he'll come back to the field, but based on the last race, he's one of the horses to beat. One horse who should have no trouble handling the distance is the number 8 Portos. He's tried a mile and an eighth already 3 times in his 4 career starts. They actually ran him in that 1 mile and an eighth race that they run every summer at Saratoga, and he was closing at the end that day to be 4th. He's progressed though in every start since then, improving on his position 1 time every race since then, finishing 3rd 3 back, 2nd 2 back, and finally getting the victory last time, going the mile and an eighth in the slop at Aqueduct. Taking a look at that race, you'll see it was a pretty small field. He's just trouncing this group of runners. He's beating his stablemate Cowtown Home. Now, Cowtown is not Todd Pletcher's best 3-year-old, to say the least. He came back in another mile and an eighth race last weekend and finished 2nd, though didn't really distinguish himself in defeat. Portos, though, he's winning this race fairly easily. Jose Lezcano's not really asking him to finish off as they come to the wire, and he's certainly bred to get this distance. I mean, I said he's done it before already, but it's no surprise. He's by Tappet. There's stamina on the dam side. He's out of a Tisnow dam, so seems like the kind of horse that a lot of people might think of as eventually Todd Pletcher's Belmont Stakes horse. A mile and an eighth almost seems like it might be on the short side for this horse in some of the races that he's run previously. The thing that concerns me a little bit is that he ran well up close to the pace in each of his last 2 starts because those were races that featured much slower paces. In this race, you saw the TimeformUS pace projector is predicting a fast pace, and he's projected to be towards the back of the pack, so he's going to have to adjust his running style to come from much farther back this time. We'll see if that negatively affects him. Linda Rice has 2 runners in this race, and I am very interested in one of the 2, that being the number 3 Max Player, who's going to be my top pick in this Withers. Let's take a look at his last race when he broke his maiden at Parks, another horse who broke his maiden in the slop. This was a sloppy seal track going the 1 mile distance at Parks, and you see that the rider who's on him this day really is getting after him to finish off as they come into the stretch. He was showing more speed this day in the early going than he did in his debut, where in his first start he just dropped way off the back of the pack early, had to make a run from far back to finish 2nd that day, almost got there. In this race, he took the rider into the race earlier under a lot of encouragement, but he's still finishing under that encouragement in the late going, which bodes well for him stretching out further in distance. The only thing I'd worry about is that Dylan Davis was on him this day. I hope he's ready to get a workout, because this is a horse that he's going to have to ride for the entire mile and eighth distance. But in a race as important as this one, I think he's going to do it. And Max Player, if that fast pace materializes that the pace projector is predicting, he's the horse that could benefit the most because he's got a strong late pace rating in the TimeformUS PPs. As I said, he finishes off really well. And if you look at the runbacks from that last race, the runner-up Irish Court came back and ran a much faster race, winning next time out. And 2 other horses that finished further back in the pack also came back and won with improved speed figures next time out. So I think that race at Parks last time might have been better than it seems. He's got a pedigree to stretch out in distance further, being by honor code with a Dams family that was really more route oriented. So I think Max Player makes a lot of sense in this race, and it's always a good sign when Linda Rice elects to run a young, lightly raced horse in a graded stakes race, because she's one that typically likes to take the path of least resistance. And if she's running a horse in a race like this, it typically means they're doing really well. And for that reason, I think we also have to look at the number 6 Prince of Pharaohs, Linda Rice's other horse. I'm a little bit less enthusiastic about his chances. He's a New York bred who stepped up into open company last time to face top Derby prospect Independence Hall in the Jerome. He ran fine that day, just kind of chugged along for 2nd place to finish in a dead heat with his fellow New York bred Bourbon Bay. They were never serious threats to Independence Hall. We'll see if he stretches out further in distance. His pedigree gives mixed signals. He's by American Pharaoh. There's some route pedigree on the dam side. His dam's a half to taste like candy, who's a horse that was multiple graded stakes placed in route races. But he just seems like a horse with a versatile running style. He's got an aggressive rider on board in Kendrick Carmouche, but he doesn't need the lead. And even though he won breaking his maiden and gate to wire fashion 2-back, he showed last time he could pass horses, so I wouldn't be opposed to him making it into the exotics, but I do prefer Linda Rice's other horse, the number 3 Max Player. I listed him at 9-2 on the morning line. Seems like the kind of horse that a lot of people could land on because he just has the running style to fit this race, but I think even a price around 4-1 or 5-1 would be fair on him in this Withers Stakes, so I'm going to take a shot with Max Player, using him over Shotsky, as well as Prince of Pharaohs, and the horse that's going to love the distance, Portos. That's my look at the Withers Stakes. Also, make sure to check out my videos of the Robert B. Lewis at Santa Anita and the Holy Bull from Gulfstream Park.